Okay, I came across an interesting problem. I'll write it down. And it's x to the x, and this exponent's going to be raised to the third power, and that's equal to 729. Right, so the reason I find it interesting is that, certainly teachers of algebra often, are surprised that students have a tough time with exponents. And, certain rules, I'll just write something down for you, a to the n times, x to the n times x to the m. And certainly, I'm not reviewing exponents here with you, but, simply some people are very rule-based. Hopefully these have been discussed in your lower level algebra course and you understood what they were talking about. And the other one is this one over here. And for a lot of students, they would look remarkably the same. But they're not the same, all right? So, certainly at this level of the game, a little bit of practice, they're relatively simple to do. But this one looks completely different than these guys over here. So what I want to do, I'm going to erase these rules over here. That's going back to basic algebra. I'm going to look at this. And I want to point out, although teachers may be surprised that students struggle with basic exponent rules, most teachers would struggle with this problem, all right? So looking at it, again, I first saw it, I thought it was interesting. I struggle with it too, to be honest with you. I looked at it, I said, actually, how am I going to do that? I started thinking about what the number could be, and I said, is it a fraction? It's certainly not a whole number, but is it a fraction? If so, what kind of fraction? Is it a rational number? If so, what a rational number it is. So what I would recommend you do is look at the 729, which might be a distractor, by the way. And I notice that 729 is divisible by 3. Let me go through that with you. That goes in 2. That would be 6. 1, 2. That would be 4. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, right? And then I get 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. And then I notice that 243 is by 3. I'll write that down for you. And again, they're getting easier, right? So 824 and 3, 81. And then I notice 81 is also divisible by 3. What's 81? It's 3 to the 4th power. So I'm going to write this over here as 3. Let's see how many powers of 3 we have. 1, 6, right? If you want to check that, you can. Now, my baby work on the side is just that. But I still have another problem. I'm looking, I still don't see it, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some rules of exponents over here to write the 3 a little bit differently. I'm going to write it as 3 and 6, so I'm going to write down 2 times 3. And what do I get over here? I would get 9 cubed. All right, now someone says, why would you do that? I'm seeing the exponent of 3, and that's why I would do that. Now, someone says, what are you going to do now? It's not easy, but I'll write this down for you. I still don't see it, by the way. But I bet it has something to do with the power of 3. All right, now what I'm going to do here, which might seem strange to you, give me 1 second. I'm going to cube both sides. Let me write that down for you. So if you cube both sides, I'll write this over here. And again, I hope your teachers, when they told you about cubing, for example, they said x cubed, the teachers would tell you, oh, that means x times x times x. All right, let me erase that. All right, so I'm going to write down 3 times, right? Whoops, sorry about that. Again, I'm cubing both sides. And I often resort to doing this when I'm confused by a problem. And this would be 9 cubed, and that's down 3 times. All right, I'm going to look at it, kind of looking at it, and I realize I got some really simple exponent rules over here, and this is going to be 3 x cubed. I'm using this rule of exponents. A to the n times a to the m is a to the n plus m. So really what am I doing? I'm just adding these guys together, and I would get 3 of those, all right? Let me go to the right side and write that down for you, and that would be, let's see, 9, well, let's see, 3, 6, 9, right? All right? Let's keep going. And what do I notice over here? Let's write this down. This is really x. I'm going to use another rule of exponents. I'll write it over here. Equals a to the n times m. But I'm going to go in this direction now. And what's that going to be? x cubed raised to the x cubed. So now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing 9 to the 9. I want to tell you what I'm seeing over here. I'm seeing that this, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm seeing that this is exactly that, and this is exactly that. So now I know what x cubed is, and I'll write that down for you. Give me 1 second. X cubed is equal to 9. What's x equal to? It's fairly simple. It's the cube root of 9. All right, so the solution to this problem over here is the cube root of 9. Now, certainly, I want to say that I don't believe that was an easy question. And again, for the teachers out there that look at these problems and say, oh, gee, why don't students understand these exponent rules? It's really, why don't we all understand these exponent rules? They're confusing. There's no doubt about it. They're very confusing when we're writing things down. And I'm not saying it cleared anything up. I'm just saying that, really at a very basic level, teachers might say, gee, why don't students get that? It's difficult. And at a more advanced level, this one over here really required me to think through the problem. It was difficult, all right? I found it difficult too. So what I want to claim over here is I wonder if I'm right. So what I want to do is I'll post another video, and I'm gonna try to use a calculator to solve the problem. And the calculator I like to use is called Sage Math. I'm also going to use Grapher. There are 2 applications I like to use to verify. All right? So give it some thought. Thank you for paying attention, though.